Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into the NCWB studios for another episode of Wiffle Ball Weekly. This is episode 4 of season number 3. We'll be recapping the 2022 season, the last few series, as well as looking ahead to the 2022 playoffs. It's been some time.
It has.
Bryson, how do you feel to be back in the studio?
And it feels awesome. I'm glad to be back in the studio with the new setup and all that good stuff. So.
Yeah, it's nice. We're in the studio this time. Last time we were on the field, and we just weren't able to be on the field for this episode. But without further ado, let's recap series number 6 and number 7. So we can kind of double team this one because obviously this was the Memorial Day series number 6 between us, our teams.
Yeah.
You guys took it 3 games to none.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, what was your favorite part about that series?
Definitely the jerseys and just it being the military series and just having the jerseys memorized all the Army members and just being able to wear my Papa V's name on my chest. It felt pretty cool. So.
Yeah, they were nice. That was definitely the best part about that one. And then, we didn't play bad, but you guys won, so that's all there is to say.
Yeah.
And then series number 7, obviously, we had another American League matchup where we were able to battle it out with the Express and take it 2-1. And it's funny, every series with them this year was 2-1.
Yeah.
Even whether we won or whether we lost, and we ended up just being able to win, more games than they did. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Series number 8, number 9. Let you take that one because it's your team.
Yeah, so we beat the Backyard Bulldogs 2-1. That was their first win this year, I'm pretty sure. So a little frustrating on my end, but it is what it is. It happens, and so we just moved on from it, and we just kept battling the rest of the year.
Yeah,
it was always a fun series against them, no matter what.
I was going to say, we'll talk about it here in a little bit, but every series between you guys this year was a battle. For better or for worse, whichever way it turned out, it was great, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then series number 9, we kicked off the second half against the Backyard Bulldogs, and we were able to take it 2-1. The Bulldogs did pick up another victory against us, and they played us really well.
Oh, yeah.
They had a great year, all things considered, and it just...
The record definitely don't show the heart that team has.
No, absolutely not. They were a great team. They had a great season, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Taylor and Brett do in 2023.
For sure.
Series number 10, that's yours?
Yeah, so we beat the Backyard Bulldogs 3-0. We bounced back from the last series with them, and we won game 1, 9-8, and then we won game 2, 8-7, and won game 3 in walk-off fashion, 16-15. That was crazy. We went
in extras.
In extras, we went into the third inning down.
Went to the bottom of the fourth.
Yeah, we went into the bottom of the fourth. Down 15-8, but we were down into the third too. But then we came back and tied it.
That's right.
We were down 1 into the bottom of the third, came back, tied it, and then we were down 15-8 in the extras. And James hit a massive walk-off home run, which was amazing.
Right here, a great series that was. I mean, I'm so thankful to have been able to call that one. Yeah, that was
in call of the year.
In my opinion, that was series of the year. You had some aggressive base running to get the win, and then game 2 they had a comeback coming for you, and then you were able to pull off close it down. And then game 3 obviously was the walk off comeback.
So I mean, like I said, that their record definitely don't show the heart they have because they battled all the way down to the wire with us.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great battle. National League was a fight this year. The American League was also. Can't wait to see what the playoffs have in store for us.
For sure.
So without further ado, series number 11. So this was the last American League matchup. This was the finale for series number 11, and we faced off against the Express. And
this series definitely was one that was interesting to say the least. We played the first 2 games, and then our power went out, and we weren't able to play the third game for 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Because we didn't have lights to finish the series, and so the series was put on hold, and it was tied 1-1 going into that third game, and so that third game was just, it was insane, and the intensity was just it was crazy. It was like playoff. It was, because
when we come back for game 3, we only had 1 game to play, but that game determined who won the American League division, or I should say, determined the head-to-head, which would have been the first tiebreaker in the event of both teams. For the 1 seed in the event of a tie for records.
Another thing to note, the rest of the second half series for the Express, Taylor Furchess had to play due to Jackson Carroll.
That's right. The whole second half, all 6 games in the second half, the Taylor Furchess had to play for the Express because Jackson Carroll was hurt. But yeah, Taylor Furchess, he had to play the whole second half, and so that kind of changed the dynamic. Not saying that he's better than Jackson in any way, but just the fact that he has more experience.
Yeah.
This was his third season at NC Wiffle, so it's just a different dynamic for the Express. And another thing too was not being able to have somebody else on the mound for pitching.
Yes, definitely.
Brian had to pitch, all 18 innings of those two series, so that was a big deal. And then like I said, just game 3, we were able to just come all the way back. We were trailing, and then Ethan's bat got hot at the right time, heading into the end of the regular season, and we were just fortunate enough to be able to get the win in that one. So just looking back on it, a great series. Just super excited to be able to get that one, and looking forward to the ALCS with these guys.
Yes, for sure.
Regular season finale. I'll kind of touch on this just real briefly, kind of what I saw from it, and then I'll let you have your take because I know it's your series. It was the first series that the Carolina Crush lost in the regular season.
To say in the series era, I want to say that was our first series loss.
I think that's probably a fair assessment, actually.
I think so.
But that was a great series. Just Uncle Brian was pitching really well. He pitched really well to y'all.
Yeah.
And then the offense kind of got skewed a little bit in game 2. But games 1 and 3 were a pitcher's battle, and have one of those games gone the other way, or both of them, whatever, could have been a game changer for you guys. And what are your takeaways as you finish the regular season against the Express?
It was definitely an eye opener for sure. It was different to say the least because Dad tried a bunch of different things getting ready for the playoffs, and he was on, and I just couldn't read the ball that well, and at the plate I did not perform like I wanted to, for sure. And I mean, like you said, game 1 and 3 were pitching battles, so it was just a matter of who made the mistake first, and so he just didn't make a mistake, and I made him.
How do you think that series may help you in the event that you see them in the playoffs?
It could help big time. It also could hurt. It just depends, because if Jackson is able to come back for the playoffs, it'll be a totally different ball game, because not knowing how he's going to come back and perform. But all in all, it was a great series. Hats off to them. They played really well that series. We were able to squeak one out in the end, but they just played very well, and they just caught me and James off our A game that night.
All right, so we'll move on over to the American League standings. I'll kind of touch on this. I don't want to spend too much time on the standings, because I think from Instagram and YouTube, most of you guys know. But obviously, the Southeastern Sharks were fortunate to finish the regular season at 10-8, a game ahead of the Eastern Express. Obviously by virtue of that third game, if you will. The Express have yet to have a losing season, but obviously 9-9 is a far cry from 11-1. Like you said,
yes.
The record still stands for the record still stands for the single season winning percentage. You have any takeaways you like to take away from the AL series this year?
It was almost like a playoff atmosphere every time y'all hit the field. No matter, like we were talking before we came on the show, no matter what the series against y'all, no matter what, it was 2-1 on either side. Mm-hmm. Y'all won 2-1 or they won 2-1. Nobody was getting swept. And that's what you see. That's what you want to see in a competitive league. And like Dad said in episode 1 in Atlanta, the league's way more competitive this year, and his take was very.
It was his take
awesome.
from the 2022 kickoff in Atlanta was spot on. This league was, and even though
the Bulldogs record don't show it, they still
the Bulldogs record doesn't show it. The National League record with Wiffle over to now. Looks like the Crush is dominated. You'll see here in just a moment the average margin of victory on that series was less than 5 runs a game. Yeah. So one inning could have changed it dramatically in either series. And last but not least, league standings. Obviously, we've got you guys finishing up at the top.
Yeah.
Last year you guys finished second in the league, but as this is you're no stranger to being at the top. You were the one and only thus far champion of the league in 2019, as you were the Braves on the Solos. Finishing ahead of the league again. For I think the third time in the first 4 seasons, finishing number 1 in the standings. From a personal perspective, what do you think that shows about you and the future of the Crush?
It just shows that we have heart and that we play football, and we love the game, and I love playing. It's awesome, and I'm so thankful to be able to be on top. Now I could get knocked off and be at the very bottom next year, but no matter what, I'm going to battle it out just like a McGee is supposed to do, and so
Fair enough. We were fortunate enough to finish, second in the league behind you guys, and then we were 5 games back. But had we won 1 or 2 of those games against y'all, if we would have been able to sweep, it would have been a 2-game difference, on paper, right? And then of course the Express and Bulldogs respectively, and like we said, just a handful of games that gone differently for either squad.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
The 2022 would have been totally different.
Oh yeah, especially had a few things gone Brett and Taylor's way.
Oh, 100%.
Had a few mistakes. Like there was a bunch of mistakes that they had made that had they not made against us, not only us but everybody, that it would have went totally different and they would have won way more ball games.
Well, a lot of times it just boils down to how the cookie crumbles. I mean, it's just the way the ball goes sometimes, and and it just is. I mean, it's part of the game.
Yeah. These wiffle balls right here, they're not forgiven. That's for sure.
100%. You make a mistake.
Sometimes the ball can be this way and it rises 10 feet. Sometimes the ball can be this way like it's supposed to rise and it can drop 20 feet. So you just never know with wiffle balls.
So that recaps the end of the 2022 regular season. We're going to look ahead now to the 2022 postseason. This is the bracket. Obviously, the gold for the National League, the silver for the American League. We have the Carolina Crush at the 1 seed and the Bulldogs at the number 2 seed in the NL. And then alternatively, we have my Southeastern Sharks, thankfully, as the number 1 seed in the AL, number 2 seed Eastern Express. And I look forward to a battle. Bryson, kind of knowing that everybody's at 0-0 now.
Oh yeah.
What are kind of what's kind of your perspective looking in on this series, knowing that you have some history against the Bulldogs this season?
Just looking into it, like you said, everybody's 0-0. It's basically the start of a new season. So you just go looking in to knowing what you know about them, and you look to put that into a game plan and just come out firing. And that's mainly the mentality coming into the postseason. You just try to base what you know they're gonna do, and you just use it against them.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. And kind of alternatively, on the AL side of things, I don't know what to expect against the Express, namely because hopefully Jackson Carroll will be back, and presumably he will be because he's had some time to recover. And so knowing that the American League, kind of has a different feel to it now. We've battled it out with the Express. The last couple of games were against him and Taylor, Brian Taylor. But everybody's 0-0, and we get a chance.
It's a totally different look.
We get a chance to start fresh again, just like we did at the beginning of the season in series number 2, and ultimately, hopefully be able to battle it out with them, and hopefully get our first pennant. I mean, that would be ideal. To go from 1-17 to a pennant would be just phenomenal, and whether or not we'll do it remains to be seen. But definitely looking forward to the opportunity to play in the postseason, and just thankful to be at the top.
For sure.
So kind of we'll just glaze over this, to preview the ALCS. Like we talked about earlier, we won the regular season series 5 games to 4 by virtue of that third game in series number 11 that we talked about. And the average margin of victory was 4.33 runs. It's just a handful of runs, and one big inning in the first or second. The 5-run rule could have totally changed it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of looking back at that, I think we were almost even in terms of our run score.
Yeah.
And so kind of looking head to head, I mean, it's anybody's ball game, and I just hope that in the ALCS, I hope that we can take two games for a sweep, or better yet, at the very least, I hope every game's our ball game. That's it. And so last but not least, the NLCS preview. Looking back at, looking once again at you guys against the Bulldogs, kind of any new takeaways as you see the actual numbers on the screen, recapping the 8-1 series victory in the regular season, and then the average margin of victory of 4.44 runs. I mean, any new perspective for you?
It just shows how close the series was on paper, other than the record. The record don't show it with the run margin of a 4.44. That's closer than you think. That's, like Isaac said, a 1-inning blowout, basically, with 5 runs. So it just shows the heart that both my team and then Taylor's team had, and we both battled all the way down to the end, and so it'll be a fun matchup for sure.
Well, last but not least, as we kind of wrap this episode up, first of all, I want to tell you guys thank you for watching. Yes. Before we finish, knowing that you have the chance to go back to the World Series for the first time. Well, not the first time, you guys won the pennant last year. Weren't able to play because of different things, injuries and whatnot. Knowing you have the chance to go back, as you sit here and look at it, the calm before the storm, kind of what's your takeaway knowing you have the chance to reach your 4 consecutive World Series?
It's just you kind of get those anxious jitters just ready to get back out there and start playing playoff wiffle ball again. It just like last year, I didn't know really what to look forward to coming into the playoffs because everybody started fresh, and it was Josh and James, and we had a battle. I mean, it was a close battle all the way down to the wire. So, just like this year, so I know what to look forward to, but I don't at the same time. So I'm just basically mentality, take it one game at a time, and just hope everything goes our way, and we can just have a good series like we have against the Bulldogs. And I think that'll be the just key to winning, just limiting the mistakes, and just playing and battling with your heart.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it all comes down to being the battle. Once again, I want to tell you guys thank you, Bryson. It's been a blast.
Yes,
It's been so much fun to be back in the studio with you. And as always, guys, this is NC Wiffle, and we thank you so much for all your support. And obviously, Wiffle Ball Weekly, it's been far from a weekly thing, but thankfully we've been able to put out a couple of good things when we've been able to be in here in the studio.
For sure.
Until next time, as for Isaac Williams, as for Bryson McGee, we're going to say good night.
Yes.
And as always, for our most recent video, click in this corner. If you want to like and subscribe, please do. Click in that corner, share it with your friends. Thank you guys so much for watching us, for everything you do for us, and we will see you guys next time.
See y'all.